Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. I got asked to do another video, a blast from the past. What does a CRA actually do? So for that, I recommend the book Chris and I wrote, The Comprehensive Guide to Clinical Research. And I'm going to go to the table of contents and I'm going to see Chapter 5. Monitoring, because a CRA, a clinical research associate, is also called a monitor colloquially. So I just go to chapter 5 and it talks about monitoring visits, site selection visits, site initiation visits, interim monitoring visits, closeout visits, booster visits, and pre-audit visits. Those are the visits the CRAs do, but ultimately what do CRAs do at their essence? The essence of a CRA is source data verification, which, yes, I know what you're thinking, that could be automated and AI can do that soon. Yes, but they also do source data review, which is making sure that the study data that's being collected by the sites that they are monitoring are compliant with, and in this order, GCP, the protocol, and then the site's own standard operating procedures. So that's called source data review. Now, can AI do this eventually? I think yes. I do think AI can do this. AI can already do source data verification. The genie's just not out the bottle quite yet, but depending on when you're watching this in the future, I think that's eventually going to be delegated to the machines. What won't be delegated to the machines is getting staff, getting sites to be compliant. Getting sites, it's one thing to let a site know, hey, you didn't do this, shame on you, hey, you didn't do this, how come? I read a post on LinkedIn today, which really it was a good post, but it looked like AI wrote it. And, but the point of the post was, it was from a CRA who kind of gave, and it may have been an exaggerated story, as AI tends to do, but you know, he had his first day as a monitoring visit. He acted like a police officer. Hey, you're not compliant here. You didn't do this. How come you didn't do this? He had a bad reaction. Second day, he somehow, magically changed his strategy, and he brought food and donuts and essentially asked the staff where they need help and how they can be compliant and how he can help them be compliant. And whether this story is real or not, I mean, it's probably a collection of his experiences as a CRA. The point is, this is what CRAs are going to do. What he said in the second day of what he did. So he essentially had empathy, and he used emotional intelligence instead of just strictly adhering to the protocol, strictly adhering to GCP. It's more like, okay, well, these things are not getting done according to the protocol. These things are not getting done according to GCP. How can I help you achieve that better? That's the part where I think humans are going to be employed for a while in our industry. And that's where I think it even pays to have the CRAs continue to fly out to sites. They may not fly out as often as they need to, and that's what caused a lot of burnout for CRAs in the sort of pre-AI. We can kind of look at AI. I think in the future, we're going to look at it at this point in history, 2025, as kind of similar to the Industrial Revolution. It'll be like the AI revolution. So pre-AI revolution, the CRAs flew out to sites every 4 to 6 weeks. They were the ones manually doing source data verification. They were the ones manually doing source data review. And I think in a post-AI world, which we're kind of in that weird transition period right now, CRAs are going to delegate a lot of those things to the machines that can do it better, quite honestly, and not get burnt out. And while they don't have to travel to sites for doing source data verification and source data review, I predict that they will, although it may be less frequently or based on the site's needs, because sites do a lot better with hands-on, hand-holding. Hey, I know you know. Oftentimes the sites know they're not compliant, and they still do it because they're short-staffed. They have short resources. They have a lot going on. So it's really the CRA's job to kind of make sure, how do we proactively avoid these landmines? Like, there's potential landmines out there. We kind of know where they are. The machines are telling us where they are. We kind of need to navigate our way around this. I think that's what the CRA's role is going to be. More of like a co-pilot for a trial. Everyone's expecting AI to be a site's co-pilot, and we probably will have AI as site co-pilot as well, but that's a topic for a different video. But when it comes to CRA job security and what CRAs actually do, those monitoring visits are still going to get done. The interim monitoring visit, where it's the most common type of visit, where the monitor comes in and does source data review, source data verification, training of the staff when needed, that's still going to get done. Site selection visits, where the monitor comes in and looks at a site for a potential study and looks at their capabilities and looks at the requirements of the protocol versus what the site has as far as its capabilities. That's still going to happen. Site initiation visit, as we outline in this book, all these visits, we outline them all. Site initiation visit, where the CRA is training the staff, making sure everything's ready for the site to start screening. That's going to still happen. Then the regular monitoring visits, like we've discussed, that's going to still happen. And then the closeout visits, that's going to happen. And then you have things like audit preparations in case a sponsor or a regulator is going to audit. And then booster visits, like, hey, I notice you're not enrolling anymore. Like, what's happened? Why the drop off? Maybe we can work on some strategies. I think that humans are much better equipped to deal with other human beings at the sites when it comes to things like understanding and reason and kind of separating this whole left brain versus right brain. The left brain's very analytical, like, let's figure out compliance, let's check these boxes, whereas the right brain is more creative, more intuitive, more problem solving. Even though the AI purportedly can do that stuff, I think when it comes to getting sites to be compliant, it's not enough to point out the errors. You have to actually take some steps with the site, mainly through encouragement of how to prevent and how to fix these things. And sites, I predict, will listen to humans more than they listen to machines and systems, because let me tell you, I own a site. We're bombarded with systems and notifications, and here's something from Monday, and here's something in Creo, and here's something in Viva, and here's something here, and this IRB, and that. You're just overloaded. But when a human being is in your face, and like you're eating lunch with them, maybe they brought sandwiches for the staff, or maybe you bring sandwiches for the monitors, there's something different about that. And that's the existence, the difference between knowledge and being, which we're getting philosophical. I got a bookshelf full of philosophy books, but to be a human is more than just knowledge. I think that's the AIs have the knowledge way better than we do, but just being, just existing, just functioning as a site. Because sites, I don't think sites can ever be automated. Sites can't be replaced, because patients, at least in my lifetime, are never going to trust a machine over a human being as far as telling them which studies they should be in, what is a study in the first place, why should I do it, who's my advocate, who's looking out for me. I think sites are going to take on that role of patient advocate, and I think the monitors are going to take on the role of helping the sites to be compliant and to proactively complete a study successfully on all aspects of it: recruitment, regulatory, source data, Alcoa-C, all the stuff we talk about on the fundamentals of this channel. So that's what a CRA actually does pre-AI revolution and post-AI revolution. And we are sitting right now in August 2025. Hello to those in the future on the precipice of this. But I think the automation is going to be self-evident. But the human part, the human aspects, I think that's going to continue to be in demand. And you still need experienced knowledge workers for that. And you're probably going to need even more CRAs hired with site backgrounds. In the past, that wasn't necessarily the case. You could have hired an RN with no site background because they had the medical knowledge. You could have hired somebody who never worked at a site, but maybe they worked as a research associate assistant at a CRO or a sponsor, or maybe they worked at a study startup specialist at a CRO or sponsor. I think now, in order to communicate effectively to a coordinator, the best CRAs are going to have experience as a coordinator in the past. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Let me know what you think about this. Catch you later. Bye-bye.